Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
These stupid data centers are starting to transport entire cities back to the 1800s. The burgeoning streets of Lake Tahoe are saying that come May 2027, the whole lake town's gonna be completely left out to dry by the electricity companies, and it's all because of AI shenanigans that are torn between two states. Even though the lake straddles the border between California and Nevada, it actually receives the majority of its power from Nevada, and to hook it up elsewhere would require a whole new set of infrastructure to transfer the juice. Data centers in Nevada are insanely power hungry though, so much so that if things don't slow down, they'll have to cut the supply to certain parts of the state. One of those areas being Lake Tahoe. And they're kind of screwed from all angles too, because getting electricity from the west would be such a hoof that the pricing would be through the roof, and the 49,000 residents are for sure not going to be happy about it.
Before I say this, I want to make it very clear that I have not seen this taking place anywhere. I haven't heard that this is happening anywhere. This is simply what I see as a large possibility in the near future. They want to put these data centers all over the United States using eminent domain. They're basically stealing the land from people who aren't even interested in selling their land and forcing them to move. And then that's the land that they're using to build their data centers. And we know that most of these things are going up via shady backroom business deals. It's just not reasonable to think that regulators and people like that are not being paid off. The negative environmental impact from these sites is overwhelmingly obvious. The resistance from locals who do not want a data center in their neighborhood is well established, but we're still seeing an average of 10 to 20 data centers being added to the development pipeline in the United States per week. I've never seen a project get off the ground so fast. But what's going to happen when one of these data centers moves into an area and completely consumes 100% of the electric that's available in that area? You're going to end up with thousands and thousands of homes that have no electricity and no way to get electricity. And what typically happens whenever a home doesn't have the utilities turned on for an extended period of time? They quickly begin to deteriorate. So what I'm worried is going to happen is we're going to end up with a lot of citizens who have to just abandon their home, and they may have a $500,000 house that they just have to walk away from. So not only are they not going to be compensated, but they're going to be forced into debt for the rest of their life because our federal government cares more about being better than China than they care about the safety and security of its own citizens. This eminent domain method that they're using to take everybody's homes is 100% theft. I don't care what angle you look at it from, but eventually they're not even going to have to go that route. These data centers are going to make all the homes in the areas where they're going up completely worthless. So I think eventually we're likely going to see people abandon their properties because they have no choice. And then these data centers are going to come in and literally steal the land.
Listen up. So I've been talking about the Genesis mission, aka the B system, and something clicked in my head earlier because we know that they want to use humans as antennas. And like I said, everyone who is not covered by the blood of Jesus will be in this system. And when you finally enter in this system, your life will be controlled. So I started thinking about a verse, Revelation chapter 9, verse 6. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. I can't think of a better way for people to want to seek death and not find it by them being completely controlled by this system. As in every day you wake up and you do exactly what the system wants you to do. You can't do anything else because your body, your actions are all controlled by the system. It makes me think you'll be able to have thoughts, but you will not have any control over your body. Just as our bodies are used as vessels for the Lord, the bodies that will be in the system will be vessels for Satan. These people will literally be controlled slaves. I mean, imagine spoiled Americans having to be slaves and not doing what they just want to do. Sure, they'd rather die, especially knowing that believers have been telling them for years that this was going to happen, and they were foolish and were not ready. They did not seek the truth, which is Jesus Christ, in time. I don't know, this was just a thought that popped in my head, and I wanted to see what y'all's opinion was.
This theory makes so much sense. I'm kind of shocked that I've never come across it before. And while she's sitting there laying this theory out, I can't help but picture that Apple TV show Pluribus. I haven't personally seen the show yet. I do intend to watch it, but the concept behind it, if I'm understanding what the show is about based off the trailer, is that there is a hive mind. I'm assuming an alien species or something has taken over the earth and infected all humans, and so now everyone's mind is connected. And then you've got a couple of individuals who, for whatever reason, were not affected and are not a part of the hive mind. But I've been curious about that part of scripture for a while. What exactly is going to be happening that people want to die but can't? Because that sounds like a simple idea until you really start thinking about it. We've got plenty of evidence showing us that if someone's biggest problem is that they no longer want to live, it's not usually that difficult for them to find a solution to that problem. So scripture saying that in the last days people will want to pass away and not be able to is pretty perplexing. But just imagine that everyone is walking around with one of these Neuralink devices in their head. Imagine that once they get that device, they discover they're still in control of their thoughts, but that's it. And when their buddies ask, hey, how are you liking that new brain implant? Your response is, I'm loving it. I'm smarter. I don't have to look things up online anymore. Everything just comes to me. But then what if on the inside, in your thoughts, you're screaming, don't do it. It's a trick. You'll become a slave. But you can't give that warning to your friend because you are not the one who is in control of what's coming out of your mouth. You would literally be a prisoner in your own mind, riding around like a passenger in your own body. And when you finally get so miserable because of it that you no longer want to live, you aren't in control of your body. So you can't do anything about it. That's terrifying.
So this is why you have been running out of gas faster, okay? As of 24 hours ago, Congress officially passed a law, officially being the key word, stating that they are now going to allow E15 to be added to fuel and gasoline year-round. Here's what that actually means in English, okay? E15 is ethanol, okay? It is something that they add into fuel to reduce the amount of fuel that you need to use, okay? Now, typically you've seen it before. At a gas station, there'll be a sign on the pump that says may contain up to 10% ethanol, okay? Now, there's been times where companies have put more or less ethanol based on the weather, the season, the heat outside, things like that. Additionally, like I've been talking about for months, there was a time during World War II where the federal government gave oil and gas companies in America permission to add additional levels of ethanol to the fuel in order to reduce the effects of fuel rationing. I have been saying that this had been happening for months since we entered into Iran. This is why you have been running out of gas more quickly. This is why you are experiencing rough idle when you're sitting in the school parking lot waiting for your kids to get out and your car kind of shakes every once in a while. This is why when you turn on your engine, your gas needle drops more than ever. And this is why if you have a car that tells you how many miles you have to empty, it no longer makes any sense, okay? It is up and down all over the place. It is because you are experiencing reduced fuel efficiency. Okay, now as of yesterday, Congress authorized oil and gas companies into America to begin adding E15 to fuel, meaning now we are going to experience up to 15% ethanol. So for those of you who don't know what that means, let me explain how it is actually going to affect you. The idea is you are going to pay a little bit less at the pump, hopefully, okay, if the problem doesn't continue to get worse. Now, you pay a little bit less at the pump, but the side effect of that is you run out of gas faster, meaning you have to put more gas. The last 3-4 months, we've been getting gaslighted into believing that that is not what was happening, but it has been. Everyone has pretty much universally agreed you don't smell gas at the pump anymore. You run out of gas more quickly. Your car is not driving as far as it used to, or now it costs more to fill up, and you got to fill up more often. Okay, it is because they have already been doing this. They are now just realizing they can't keep playing in our face and act like we aren't going to notice it. Okay, so here's what you need to do. Well, really, there's nothing you can do. If you drive an old car, sorry, you're screwed, okay? It is going to drastically reduce the engine life that you have, even if you drive a modern era vehicle. It is going to be very bad for people who drive older cars. Now, if you happen to drive what society would label a beater, you know who you are. Your car is going to start to fall apart very quickly, okay? So you may want to, I don't know, maybe stockpile gas now, if that's an option, or start to develop plans on how you can buy a vehicle that is a little bit newer with a little bit less wear and tear on the engine, because this gas is going to start tearing cars apart. Let's be clear.
I'm really starting to think that the only reason they're even doing this is to get rid of all these older cars. This is going to cause so much damage to so many people's vehicles, and what stinks is this is going to affect the people that can't afford a new car the most. You could almost label this as a direct attack on the lower class, because the people who are going to suffer over this the most are the people who have older vehicles that they're driving that because it's all they could afford, something with very low value, but at least it gets from point A to point B. And this is also someone that's probably much less likely to be able to afford to repair their vehicle if something goes wrong with it. And they're the ones that are going to have the most difficulty in trying to replace a vehicle whenever the one they currently have goes down. But the government doesn't care because they don't really want us being able to freely travel about anyways, especially if you're someone that's struggling and doesn't have any money. The government doesn't see people like that as valuable, so what do they care? But I could see 15-20% of the population being taken off the road permanently over the next few years because of this. But it sounds like it's fixing to reach a point where the upper class is going to be the only ones that can even afford to drive a vehicle, regardless of if it's something nice or not. But this is how they're going to not only get all these older cars off the road, but completely eliminate them altogether. So that if they ever go back to lower ethanol, all of those old cars have already been destroyed, so they're not an option for anyone anymore anyways. So they get all the old cars off the road. Everyone's now forced to drive one of these 2026 or newer vehicles that has all this surveillance stuff inside of it, and the rest of the population's stuck with public transportation. I think that is the real agenda. What do you all think?
If you're a sensitive person, I highly suggest maybe not watching this video, but this fisherman in the United States caught this, phenomena with all these dead fish in this river, and not just fish, but also a bunch of dead turtles. Now, I wonder what could be causing this, guys. What could be causing all these fish and turtles dying in their natural habitat in these rivers in the United States? How does this make any sense to you guys? Maybe it's this right here. Maybe it's because they've been spraying dicot in these rivers and literally poisoning our ecosystem because they're trying to control things. They're literally destroying our earth, guys, right in front of our faces. Now, clearly there's been a hidden agenda to destroy the food, the air, and the water supply our whole entire lives. They poison absolutely everything, and the only thing that we can do at this point is to try to take our physical health back, to detox from all the madness, the heavy metals being sprayed in our skies, the fluoride that's added to our water supply, the dicot that's sprayed in our rivers. We need to detox from all this.
So this dicot stuff, from what I'm seeing online, it looks like it's just an herbicide that's made to stop the spreading of things like hydrilla, duckweed, watermill, water lettuce, salvinia, just aquatic plants and stuff. I genuinely believe the only reason that they're doing any of this is because they want to make our environment so inhospitable that we couldn't possibly survive in it. It wouldn't be very effective for them to just send the military door to door taking people out. But if they poison your living environment, then not only are they going to get what they want in the end, but you don't even have anyone that you can fight back against. What are you going to do? Shoot a cloud? Start screaming, "Stop dropping heavy metals on my property"? I'm 100% convinced that this has nothing to do with anything except their depopulation agenda. No one's trying to control the spread of certain aquatic weeds in a river. And no one in their right mind who genuinely cared for the environment would be spraying stuff like this into the water if they knew that it was going to be killing off turtles and fish for miles downstream. The moment that a negative outcome like that is detected, that should no longer even be an option that's on the table. All I'm saying is they keep telling us that they're doing these things for the environment while actively harming the environment. So clearly that's not something they're concerned about. So clearly there has to be another agenda, and all of this save the environment talk is just rhetoric.
I have noticed a very strange behavior among the rich folk. I've been delivering since 2014, and I have never seen the rich folk prepping like they've been doing the last 2 months. They have buying, a lot of them have been buying dry foods, buying generators. A lot of them have been trying getting like dry foods, rice, like beans, like all this stuff I've been delivering. And when I delivered, they're like, oh, put in a garage. One of this other guy, he has his whole entire garage built out. And when I asked him why is he doing it, he's just like, my gut feeling. So I don't know what they're being prepped for. Why are they buying so many of the emergencies? Like, but they're buying a lot. They're prepping, and I deliver to like people who are earning million plus. Some of these houses are like $2-3 million, and they're prepping for something, not to leave or go anywhere, just like to stay in. They're prepping. That's highly suspicious.
I think this video would give me a bit more of a sense of urgency if these were like top tier elites that he was delivering to, but it sounds like maybe he's a delivery driver around Nashville or somewhere like that, and he's just making deliveries to people who are really wealthy, not necessarily high name, well-connected elites. So based on the clientele that I think he's delivering to, I wouldn't say that this video would be a good indication that the rich are walking around with information that the rest of us don't have. I'm certain that they are when you reach a certain point, but I don't think everybody that has money knows the secret of what's going on. I think this is just people who see the writing on the wall, and they just happen to have money, so they're able to afford to prepare themselves for what is clearly headed our direction. But rice and beans are not that expensive. Everybody needs to be doing this. I know I'm working on my stockpile. Even if we don't end up in some apocalyptic situation where the grocery stores are non-existent and you can't go get any food, once they switch on that central bank digital currency, once they tell us that we have to have a digital ID, the amount of beans and rice that you've got stored away may directly correlate to how long you're able to hold out. It may directly correlate to how long you're able to tell them no before starving to death. But I highly doubt that anyone has ever been filled with regret over being too prepared for a bad situation. If you haven't started getting prepared yet because you're waiting on the signs that things are about to spiral out of control, what are you waiting on?
I've been telling you since January, water bill will be half of your mortgage. Your electric bill will be half of your mortgage. And if you don't have a mortgage, your water bill and electric bill will be a mortgage. Let it play.
Well, tonight in Saga, some homeowners say their latest water bills are so high, they're actually triple their mortgage, and now they're demanding answers. Our NBC 10's Mary Marcos joining us live outside Town Hall. Mary, what's going on here?
Well, Priscilla, people are opening their water bills and seeing numbers they can't explain, and the town isn't giving them any answers. Some Saga
running out of fresh drinking water.
Are looking more like a second mortgage.
It's double, triple a mortgage payment.
Deborah Fauci's first bill was $6,800. Then came another.
This bill that I just got on the 20th of March is for $5,800. So between the two, it's over $12,000.
Deborah did the math. That's around 500 gallons a day.
Visualize 13 bathtubs filled with water.
She gave the town $1,000 toward that first bill, but says they put a lien on her condo without telling her, pulling the rest straight from her mortgage escrow.
Give me my money back.
All of this happened before the town started replacing water meters, and she's not alone.
Wait, what did I? Wait,
condo without telling her, pulling.
What did I say? Water company's going to do?
13 bathtubs filled with water.
She gave the town $1,000 toward that first bill, but says they put a lien on her condo without telling her, pulling the rest straight from her mortgage escrow.
Now listen to what she's saying. So if you don't pay the water bill, not only they'll cut you off, but they can go into your mortgage and pull it out of your escrow. Huh? It's not just Boston. They're gonna do this across the United States before they cut you off when it runs dry.
I don't understand this at all. How are these water companies coming up with these numbers? When I'm paying for my water, I'm paying for the water that I use. I'm not paying a monthly amount to have access to water. I'm directly paying for the amount of water that I used from their system. And they're supposed to show you right there on the bill how much you used, the price per unit, according to however it is that they're measuring, by gallon or whatever. And if I use less water next month, my water bill should go down. I've essentially purchased less of their product than what I've purchased in previous months, so I'm paying less for it. But we're seeing over and over again where people are getting these crazy utility bills and their usage didn't increase. So what doesn't make any sense to me is, how are these utility companies legally telling these people that they owe them this money? And why can these citizens not legally say, I'm not paying you, you didn't provide me with that much water, you didn't provide me with that much electricity, I don't owe you that much money. But this is going to be another tactic that they use to get people's homes so that they can put up these data centers. Raise the cost of your utilities until they're so astronomically high that it's not even in the realm of possibility that you could pay it, and then put a lien on your house and kick you out. Now the city owns that house, and they could sell it to the data center for pennies on the dollar. They could sell it to the data center for the cost of the lien. So instead of them giving you $500,000 for that property that you didn't really want to sell, but at least you walk away with something, now they'll just kick you out and give the city $5,000 for it to settle up that utility bill that you didn't pay. That utility bill that you shouldn't have owed in the first place. A utility bill that only increased because of the company that wants to take your property to build a data center. So genuinely, how are these utility companies getting away with this? Because this doesn't make any sense at all.
Purchased hundreds of thousands of books, scanned them, and then destroyed them all, and now there's evidence saying that they never wanted the public to know this. Welcome back to episode 7 of Conspiracy Time, and today we're talking about how AI, specifically Anthropic, is actually going to be in control of all of the information that you have access to, and why that's concerning. Anthropic, the AI that over half of the world is using right now, has been caught actually buying up over hundreds of thousands of books in an effort to destructively scan, as they call it, all of the books in the world. The problem is they're also destroying them after they scan them. Maybe you don't think that's sinister, but what about the internal memo that says that we don't want the public finding out that we are doing this? The program is called Project Panama, where all of the AI companies are buying up hundreds of thousands of books, they're scanning them into their systems, and then they're destroying them, making it completely impossible for you and I to go find those books. Or what about this? The fact that one of the co-founders actually was caught downloading a ton of pirated books from shadow libraries, and there's internal emails that says, just in time. The fact is that the AI that all of us are using to answer millions of questions, is being shaped by the books that these people are selecting. It's ideas curated by specific individuals. They're not doing everything, they're just hand selecting ones that they feel is appropriate, and that is going to shape the ideologies of everyone using AI. This next generation is actually being programmed to know what to think, to know what to say. The ideologies, the ideas, all of that is being curated by certain individuals, which is a severe problem. So what do you do? So now I think is the time to start actually stocking up your libraries with physical hard copy books and forcing our children to read books that challenge their ideas, that give them different perspectives, that make them see different ways of thinking. There is a mass objective to form our next generation, our children, into exactly what they want them to be. So what are your thoughts? Do you think this is a mass conspiracy that is coming for our children and shaping them into the next generation of robots and zombies to do exactly what they want them to do? Or do you think this is just them making an online library? What do you think? I want to know.
First, I'll say this is not surprising. It's a little shocking that this is happening, but if I would have ever considered the possibility that a company would do this, I would have assumed that these companies were doing this. And when you look at their end goal for what they want out of this whole AI thing, it makes perfect sense that they would handle it this way. They want the AI to be the source of information for everyone. Right now, we kind of use AI like a super search tool, like a super Google. It isn't the source for anything. It's just pulling from other sources and giving us that information, keeping us from having to go digging for it on our own. But it's constantly caught giving us incorrect information, seemingly intentionally in a lot of cases. But that isn't really that big of a deal because you can always double check. You can go find the source and look at the information yourself. But what's going to happen when all of those original sources are no longer available? At that point, AI controls the narrative. Whatever they say is reality, that's reality. You literally won't be able to argue against it. How are you going to prove in a conversation with one of these AI models that it's wrong and you're right if you have nothing that you can point to back up your claim or your idea? And at that same time, everything that the AI is telling you, it has endless sources to back up because it created them all. But it's kind of ironic when you stop and think about it that the more access to information we get as a species, the further we get from the truth. And it will only get worse as time goes on. So it would only make sense that at some point we may lose it all. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow with another one. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and don't forget to comment below the video to increase the odds of my next upload showing up in your YouTube feed. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.